All right, thanks, Sally. Take a look at this fascinating new exhibit at the DIA. It's called Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo in Detroit, and it opens to the public this weekend. Now, of course, we know Diego Rivera from those famous giant murals of industrial workers that he painted on the DIA's walls. They're so beautiful, and they've really become such an iconic image of our museum here in Detroit. And this exhibit, it really is going to just give people so much of the backstory of this artist and his wife, Frida Kahlo. And joining us is Mark Rosenthal, the curator of the exhibit from the DIA, of course, just up the street from our new downtown studio, our hometown museum. Tell us, why is this exhibit so important?
Well, first of all, we are showing a large group of the huge drawings that Diego did in preparation for the murals, and these have not been shown in almost 30 years. So it's a kind of once-in-a-lifetime chance to see these amazing drawings. And unlike the murals, the drawings have the freshness and the hand of the artist. And you see him constructing the compositions with this amazing virtuoso ability he had as a draftsman.
What did Detroit mean to both of these artists?
Well, for Diego, he was in love with the Rouge plant. And he knew all about it. He admired Henry Ford. He thought that Detroit industry, as well as American industry, would be combined with Mexican spiritual values. And so what he was doing was creating a kind of secular Sistine ceiling. Sistine ceiling, of course, is Michelangelo's famous religious opus. And the Detroit murals are practically the same size, except it's devoted to an economic view of the world and how the world would come together.
And what about for Frida Kahlo's career? What did Detroit do for her?
Well, when Frida arrived, she was 20 years younger. She was completely unknown. When people paid attention to her at all, they thought, well, she's just Mrs. Rivera, to the famous Diego, the great maestro. Well, in the time she was in Detroit, she started to make her very personal, wrenching pictures, very vulnerable, that were the first paintings like this made by any woman in history. And out of that came the personal style that she was so revered for. And it all happened in Detroit.
And they came here during the Great Depression. Tell us about the significance of that and now what's gone on with the rebirth of the museum and the rebirth of the city as we come out of bankruptcy.
Well, I've recently heard this line that history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. So in 1932, when they arrived in Detroit, the city was in the depths of the Depression, and guess what? The museum was being discussed as a place that ought to close and the collection should be sold. That didn't happen. The director of the museum at that point said to Rivera, you know, your murals will make us famous. And now, sort of the full circle, we've come out of the worst, and the museum has survived, and this is the first big exhibition following all that. So there's a kind of beautiful poetry in all this.
Absolutely. Mark Rosenthal, thank you so much for joining us today to talk to us about this. The exhibit opens on Sunday. It runs through July. For more information, please head to our website, WXYZ.com.